Hey yo, welcome to another episode of Off the Beaten Path, your new favorite podcast. And today we have motherfucking Slug Christ. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me here. Thanks for asking me to be a part of it.
Yeah,
So,
thanks for
Hey,
coming on, man.
thanks for
Super
being
excited.
for sure, for sure.
hell yeah, definitely. Like I consider myself a slug Christian.
Hell yeah,
So
man.
so yeah, I'm glad you're on here. And let's kind of start from the beginning. Like what was playing in the household music wise growing up?
My dad is a typical white dad music kind of guy, like 70s rock, classic rock. He was in his 20s in the 80s, so in late teens. So there was a bunch of 80s shit. And his favorite, my mom was she just kind of listened to whatever my dad put on. She liked Journey and stuff, like typical bitch shit like from back in that era. But my dad was a huge Led Zeppelin fan, huge Prince fan, huge AC/DC, just typical white dad music,
Right.
honestly. But he also he was a 80s dude, so that was when rap kind of first became popping in the mainstream. And also Run DMC did a
Mhm.
collab with ACDC, which my dad is just an ACDC fanboy. So he would play a lot of Run DMC. And like when I was super young, like my favorite rap group was Run DMC, just because I didn't listen to modern hip hop when I was like, a little kid or whatever, just because my parents didn't really play it. But
Right.
all like 80s hip hop, and that led me to NWA, which I was like really into for a while. But I didn't really get into like uh hip hop modern rap until probably like middle school. Or you know what, honestly, the first influence to rap, and you could argue if it's rap or not, was definitely Linkin Park. Like you
Mm.
were from fucking third grade to seventh grade, I only listened to Linkin Park. I had a Linkin Park backpack, I had a Linkin Park t-shirt. I wanted the flame tattoos like the singer Chester Bennington.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, just yeah, when I was a kid, a lot of classic rock and prog rock and 80s.
Yeah, and you kind of answered my next question because I was going to ask you, once you started getting into your own music, what really was it, But
Yeah,
Nick,
no, well, NWA and like early hip hop, that was just the tiniest little facet of it. But so, like I said, third to fucking seventh grade, I listened to Linkin Park. Like that was, and like
I
POD
was going to
and
say
Yeah.
POD.
yeah, that type shit. And
Yeah.
like edge lord 2000s music, that's what I was into as a kid. But when I hit middle school is when I discovered kind of like emo music, I guess, or kind of post rock. So I started getting into like Taking Back Sunday, Brand New, Dashboard Confessional,
Hmm.
Coheed Cambria. And from there, that music kind of led me into the more heavier stuff, into metal and stuff. And I already had a good frame for metal because my dad uh, listened to like a lot of Iron Maiden, which back in their day, they were like the heaviest motherfuckers there were.
Right.
So yeah, like, and that was something cool. My mom was super hella fucking Christian, but she never really had a problem. My dad was a super Christian too, but I feel like he was just kind of Christian because my mom was super Christian. And
Mm.
they never had a problem with playing any type of music around me. They wouldn't let me watch some movies when I was younger, and I understand that. But like when it came to Iron Maiden going six, the number of the beast, like my
Yep.
parents just didn't have a problem with that. And I
Okay.
think that kind of opened me up to metal. And after that, man, I was in metal bands for like a good 15 years, a good 10 years, something like close to 10 years of my life, and so I was into like metalcore at first. So I like, Under Oath and
As I Lay Dying.
As I Lay Dying, Acacia Strain. Oh, really, when that whole Christian ad, it was like a super big ad to be a Christian metal band. I was into the scene around that time. And that led me into this super heavy, crazy shit, which I would call like grindcore, death metal, or sludge, into bands like Siopus. Y'all probably haven't heard a lot of these. They're very low key. The Locust.
I love the Locust.
Oh, okay, awesome. Yeah, they're one of my favorites.
Turned me on to them back in the day. I was like, these are fucking like 30-second songs that are brutality from start to finish.
Yeah, I really got into technical grind. So like, like the Locust, they literally sound like a computer, the way they play and shit, and the effects they use, to like, or they sound like a swarm of locusts. Like it literally sounds like bugs talking to each other sometimes. But yeah, I got into really just experimental music, and kind of the whole my cats are attacking right now. Don't worry about it. I got into like anything super experimental, anything that's, offset, and whether it was metal, like a band like Siopus or the Fall of Troy, or there's this genre called math rock, which is take the technical time signatures of metal, but then you put a lot of melody and stuff like that. I was into that. So there's this guy named Zach Hill, who is one half of the production team in Death Grips, right? And before
I love Death Grips.
Same. Before he formed Death Grips, I was a huge Zach Hill fan. He played drums in this band called Hella, and they are one of my all-time favorite math rock bands. And he's been in like 500 bands. He has done a lot of projects. One project is with Nick Reinhardt of Terra Melos. Terra Melos is also one of my favorite bands. They're a math rock band. And anyways, like I love all his solo work, like his albums as Zach Hill. I love all his albums as Hella and all of his projects and bands. And it really gave me a frame of reference for Slug Christ, like even when I'm making very trap Atlanta sounding music, there's still an element of like, well, what the fuck is going on? There's some sort of experimentation. I might rap in 4/4 and have 808s and snare on 3 and the rap hi-hats, whatever, but there's still some kind of offset abstraction going on, whether it's in the lyrics or the beat itself. Or,
I mean, even your voice itself, you do a lot of like screaming shit. Like it's not the metal scream, but it's like, wait, this isn't heard in rap all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. That is literally like because I'm so offset, a lot of people just respond to it negatively the first listen, And when I think about it though, like my favorite bands like Siopus, The Locust, Terra Melos, the first time I heard this, Waka Flocka, Chief Keef, the first time I heard all those artists, I was like, what the fuck is this? This barely sounds like music. There was something about it that just kept me coming back. I don't know what. Like when I first heard Flocka, I was like, this guy is mentally challenged. It's crazy. He said his name fucking 16 times as a 8-bar verse. Like, what? And I thought it was funny. If anything, I listened to it because it was funny. But then, same thing with Terra Melos, same thing with the Locust. You start picking up on the nuances, and you're like, wait a second, this is fucking hard.
Hey,
Flocka is an amazing rapper, and I hope that's the effect that a lot of those people who have a negative and visceral reaction to me, I hope that there's something like that going on. I'm gonna
tell you 100%. That's what happened with me. I was at band practice in 2015, and our vocalist, he was like, "Hey man, listen to this dude, Slug Christ. He came from this band, and I don't remember the band. You probably know what he was talking about.
Annihilate Her. Yeah,
that was it 100%. And he was like, dude, listen to it. And the first song he played, well, the only song he played was HokayHokayHokay. And I just busted out laughing. I was like, what the fuck is this, bro? This is trash. This is garbage.
Yeah.
I went home.
That song especially though is very Offset, like
yes.
Yeah. It's a crazy one to start with.
It is. Like, I would never put that as a first song unless I was like, hey man.
Yeah. Well, you want to know this, the thing behind the process of making HokayHokay was I was trying to make something like I was trying to make what I thought hip hop is basically going to be like in 2030. I feel like it's going to be all ad-lib based. It's going to be very few bars, just because the simplification of hip hop has been this kind of constant thing. You see it happen with people like Flocka and Chief Keef, the simplification of hip hop. And nowadays, most rappers don't write shit. They're usually freestyling, or there's at least some element of freestyling in it, And I contribute that to, I went to art school, so I took a lot of art history classes. And
what school did you go to?
SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, but I went to the Atlanta campus, so it's called SCAD Atlanta.
Awesome.
But
I love SCAD.
Word. Yeah, I was a painting major there, and I see it in painting. I saw parallels in hip hop and painting. Painting, we were drawing shit on caves, and you could say like that was at the block parties when people were just freestyling over some guy messing with a record. It was like we were just kind of getting everything together. Then you kind of keep getting better and better, and you get to Rapper's Delight, and then maybe that would be something like medieval paintings where you can tell that's a guy, but it doesn't look real at all, And we get going and going, and probably the peak of this technicality in hip hop, I would say, was probably like the 2000s, early 2000s, maybe late 90s, with people like Nas, Tupac, Biggie, and I would compare those guys to Renaissance artists, where they were trying to represent the world as we saw it. There was no stylism. It was like, I'm painting this guy and I'm gonna make this shit look like this motherfucker standing right in front of you. Right. And from that point, you start getting people like Monet, who were impressionists. So Monet would paint like, when you get really up close on his shit, it just looks like a bunch of blobs of paint. But when you back up, it's like, well, that's a beautiful landscape of a lake or a pond with some flowers. But get real close up, you can't tell what the fuck it is. And I would contribute that to like Flocka. Flocka is an impressionist rapper. He's like simplifying. You see what I'm saying? It's an abstraction going on, and it's a simplification going on. And we've seen that. So in painting, we in the 40s, people were just throwing shit at the canvas and calling it a painting. And I feel like maybe in 2030, that's what rap will be. It'll be throwing paint at the canvas. And that's where HokayHokay, the idea for it came from. It's like seeing this continued simplification. And it's not only hip hop and painting, it's kind of ubiquitous in all forms of art. And I just wanted to kind of like jump 20 years and show motherfuckers what a genius I am. So like in 2030, they'll come back and be like, damn, Slug Christ, he knew what the fuck was it. And yeah, that's the story behind it.
You got a point. I mean, you always do talk about, living in the future, or you're from the future, but it's like, you got a point though, because the 2000s, it was like a big divide. It was like you have the lyrical miracle rappers, and then you have the club music party. But now, but now it's like the club music that was so simplified that like Eminem hated and Jay-Z hated and the old heads hated. It's like it's became even more simplified. Yep. And now it's like either we get on board with it, or you're an
old loser.
Exactly. Yeah, no one wants to be that old head,
Yeah, exactly. Mumblecore, that's what we're deciding to call it, whatever. But I think looking back, it'll be a lot more separated, and we just want to throw all these artists into the mumblecore genre. But I think it's a part of that abstraction abstraction process. It's very akin to I wouldn't say it's fully abstracted, but it's like it's almost like a Picasso. Like you can tell that's a guy's face, but it's so fucked up. He's got two eyes over here and his mouth is right here, you know what I'm saying? So the abstraction and simplification process is happening, and I feel like it's going to continue to happen. And yeah, if you and this isn't an old thing, or I mean, it's not a new thing. People, the old generation hates on whatever the newer generation is doing.
Always,
whether
it's always been that way.
And it's just a breaking down of the walls that this older generation had been indoctrinated to. It's not their fault they don't like it. I'm sure when we're 60 and we're like, we used to bump Future and Young Thug back in our day, and our kids will probably be listening to like atonal noise, just like, and they'll be like, oh yeah, this shit's
so good.
So
yeah,
and like we'll be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, man.
It's not. It's just human nature. It's not a bad thing. It's just how we are.
Man, speaking of human nature, one of my favorite lines from you is destroying something beautiful. That's just human nature, bitch. Because it's so fucking true, man.
Yeah. I think I actually took that. I got inspired by a line in Fight Club. I think that's it.
Fight Club.
Yeah. Where Tyler Durden says, I wanted to destroy something beautiful. And yeah, that's where that line comes from.
Yeah,
that is human nature. Just
it is, unfortunately.
Pick it up and drain it of everything it's worth.
Yeah,
and then we'll move on to something else.
It's like I like what Mike Tyson says. He was like, if like he went super deep into it, and I don't know if I believe him, not believe him, but I don't know if I'm on board with him 100%. But it's like, if all the fleas die, then the world ends. If all the fucking gnats die, the world ends. He's like, but if all the humans die, the world's gonna flourish.
Prospers.
And it's like, dude, that's so true, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if all the fleas die, like what purpose they really serve.
I mean, certain species are super important, like bees. Bees are dying, and it's fucking up the pollination process. But I've always said, like, if you're a real environmentalist, you would try to kill as many people as you can, and then you kill yourself, Like, the best thing for the planet would be if we all killed ourselves, like, right now.
Man.
And you can't argue that, That's the most utilitarian point of view. It's crazy, and I don't support it, and I don't think we all should kill ourselves, but, I think that's what the world needs.
What do you think about this? It's one, I read the Da Vinci Code, the series, and I don't remember which book it's in, but the whole book's pretty much about it, is population control. And instead of like killing people, it's let's make, I don't remember what it was, but let's make a certain amount of people infertile so they can't reproduce. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I think it's less, so the population control thing, people say like, population control is a myth because we have all of this empty land, and it's not about having space for people. It's about being able to feed them and being able to give them water. And if there's enough of that on the fucking earth to sustain a population of 20 billion people or whatever. So I do think that infertility, that is a rising thing, and that's just a fact. That's because of the way what we're putting in our atmosphere, what all these chemicals and the plastic that we're dumping in the ocean. I think that contributes to the rising cancer rates. I think it contributes to shortening lifespans, heart disease, and it's the food we eat, for sure. It's a lot of the food we eat. Whether or not this is being perpetrated like willingly, and like an Illuminati type figurehead is up there like, I'm not sure. I think to be real and go really in deep about it, I don't believe that there is one single group in control. I think there's a bunch of groups vying for supremacy. And if you think that's far-fetched, that a group of people, a group of billionaires would try to control the world, then I don't know what to tell you, because that's
right.
that's the course of history, you know, is rich people subjugating poor people, you know.
Yep.
And shit has leaked about so many things, you know, like WikiLeaks has just like, if you still believe that your government has your best interest in heart, you know, then you're clearly not paying attention to what the fuck is going on, because
ignorance is bliss.
It is, man. And I wish I was way more stupider.
Nah, bro. I've said this on another episode. I was like, because it was a person we had on there, like an activist or what. Well, I don't know what they want to claim themselves as, but I'm gonna say activist for lack of better words. And I was like, yo, like, I'm glad I don't know as much as you do, because I feel like the more you fucking know, the less happy you are as a person.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
Ignorance really is bliss.
Yeah.
Don't forget to cherish it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like I mean, I remember a time when I was little and I thought Jesus was real and I was gonna go to heaven and spend eternity up there when I died, and everything was gonna be cool. And you know, I'm a very spiritual person now, but I think when I was like 18, in a response to that Christian indoctrination, I became super militant atheist, you know, and but I'm a lot more spiritual person now, just because I think I've gotten older, and also eating a lot of psychedelics, you know, that'll help you become a spiritual person. And even pot. I chain smoke pot all fucking day long. And I think weed is like it's a hallucinogen. It's very tame, you know. It's not. It's a mild hallucinogen, because people who don't respond well to pot, you know, it makes them feel anxious. It makes them feel all these sort of things that you'll feel when you take a big dose of some psychedelic. And pot is a hard thing to categorize, because some strains make you real sleepy, some strains will make you get up and want to clean the house, whatever. And I think it's hard to categorize it, because it's really just a mild hallucinogen. And I feel like smoking it, you know, on a daily basis can kind of just open that third eye just a little bit, you know. It doesn't go like when you eat the mushrooms, you know. That's just when the world fades away and you see what reality truly is, you know. But it'll open up your eye a little bit, which I think it's why a lot of conspiracy theorists are pot smokers, and it also lends to that paranoid thing. So it's got negative and positive things to that third eye opening. You know, you can see patterns where there are no patterns, and you can, you know, get really lost, like all these Q motherfuckers, you know.
Oh god.
Yeah. Like and I bet those people, you know, their disdain and their kind of like paranoia of the government, it's not from an unfounded place, you know. I think it comes from a real place. It's just they're just like firing off all, you know, they just realized that the government is not their best friend. And so they're just
super deep.
Yeah, and they just believe anything anyone says. And and that it's sad, because these people, you know, are clearly kind of in a lost place now, and they're just looking for any type of answer, you know. That's all it is. Looking for answers, and where there might not be
any. 100%, man, down. Yeah. And I just also realized that Bobby said a fucking Slugger lyric, and I fucking missed it. Just now hit me.
What
I love about the segment we just went through is basically the message of Horribly Wrong, the opening track to a PM3.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, I'm sure other songs I've made are about that type of shit too, because it's something I'm constantly thinking about, you know. And a lot of my lyrics, like when I did like in 2015, when Nate, when you found my shit, refused to write anything down back then. I was just like all freestyle or nothing, you know. And I made some shitty songs because of that. And nowadays I've kind of gotten older and I've quit doing hard drugs, you know. I'm just over 2 years clean from heroin now and fentanyl.
Congratulations.
Hell
yeah. And you know, I'm just not. I don't want to limit myself like that anymore. You know, back then I thought it would be cool to only freestyle, and it was, and I came up with some cool shit. And that's the thing about freestyling is you can't write a lot of the shit. You know, you just
Bro,
can't.
You talk about going to Valero, like,
right? And
fucking amazing.
Like when I listen to Young Thug, the shit, or even Lil Wayne back in the day, like the shit they come up with is just unwritable. It has to come from an unconscious place. And nowadays, I will write, but there's always an element of freestyle to it, which I might just freestyle gibberish, kind of discover melodies and rhythms and flows and whatever, and then kind of plug in lyrics after that point, which is that's what I've heard Feature's process is he kind of does a lot of gibberish freestyling. So that, you know, and but as I've gotten older, I kind of just realized, you know, I'm limiting myself by not writing. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make is that a lot of, since there's that element of freestyle, a lot of ideas that are kind of just constantly bouncing around in my brain will spill out in the lyrics, you know, whether I want them to or not. They just kind of pop out of there. And
hell yeah, most definitely. Fuck yeah, man. Yeah, that's I guess the aesthetic of you is, you can tell, at least even with some newer shit, you can tell that a lot of it is just, this is what was on my mind when I sat down.
For sure.
And, you know, it came out. Like, I think that's why I ended up catching on to you after like making fun of you. I was like, what the fuck is this HokayHokayHokay bullshit?
Yeah.
Make a bitch do the hokey pokey. Like, what is this? No, but then fucking I go into it and I actually start listening more, and I'm like, it's all authentic. And
yeah,
okay, so let's go here. So we started at the very beginning, what you grew up listening to. Let's get to, and then we got to the metal part. So let's get to the part where it's like fucking
where
you get Awful Records, because Awful Records had or has their own sound.
For sure.
And
we're all a bunch of weirdos.
I honestly feel like I hear it so much now, you know, like in underground hip hop, like not the mainstream, but in the underground, like especially Atlanta, I hear it so much, like, oh, they had to be Awful Record fans. So
yeah, where I feel you too.
And where did that come from? Like, how did you get into Awful? Because you come from a small town in Georgia like we do.
Right.
So like, how did you meet them?
Full story, actually, when I was when I was in that band, Annihilate Her, the bassist in our band sold weed. So we were, I think we dropped some pot off. We either met Keith Charles like at his apartment, or he came through Eric's apartment, my bassist. And anyways, so we're sitting there smoking pot with them, and Keith mentions, he's like, yeah, I'm a rapper. I'm playing a show Saturday, and I listened to his shit. And by this time, I'm producing beats. I've been producing beats for a few years. I hadn't rapped yet. I never saw myself as a rapper back then, and this is probably like 2011, I would say. 2011, 2012-ish. And so I fucked with his music, he fucked with my beats, and I was like, fuck yeah. And I went to a show on Saturday, and he was opening up for Ethereal.
Nice.
And it was Ethereal's album release show. And so back then, my beats were kind of very trap, down-tempo, trap-oriented percussion-wise, but I would put these jazz chord progressions over top of them. And when I heard Ethereal play, that was exactly what he was doing. Like, we had never met before, but we're literally making the exact same style beats. And right when his set was over, I walked right up on stage and I was like, dude, that was fucking amazing. I tapped him up. I was like, my name's Chaz, I make beats and like, you're fucking awesome, dude. And I just told him right then, like, yo, I want to hang out with you. Like, you're fucking. And eventually we did. And I showed Obi Ethereal, I showed Obi my music, and he was like blown away. Like, he had the same feeling that I had when I was watching him play on stage, just like, wow, this motherfucker gets it. This motherfucker's doing, like, he's on the same road that I'm on, going the same direction, And that was at Father's apartment when I hung out with him and Keith Carls, and that's when I met Sintel, Father. And so, and then we around that time that Father had started rapping. Back then he was Father's Liquor Cabinet, and this is still pre-awful, probably about 2013. And like, when I started rapping was I was sending all these beats out, right? Sending all these beats out for free to any motherfucker that want to rap on me. And every fucking time I would feel like I could do better. And this motherfucker who claims he's a rapper, I feel like I could have done better. And I never rapped nothing before. I was the vocalist in a metal band for close to 10 years, So I think I had a really good idea of what it takes, like stage presence and charisma, lyrics and vocal delivery, that type of thing. I just felt like I could do better. And so I started doing it. I called the project Slug Christ because I thought that was a weird ass name. I just came up with it. There's a lot of meaning to Slug Christ that I found over the years, but when I decided on it as my rap name, it was literally a fucking freestyle thought. I was just like, Slug Christ. That sounds weird. Don't sound like no other rapper name I've ever fucking heard in my life. And that's what I wanted, And so when around the time I started rapping, that was when Father started making music as Father's Liquor Cabinet. And I was on his albums, he was on my album. So if we all worked with each other.
Right.
And around 2014, Father was like, yeah, I'm starting this thing called Awful Records. You are the perfect fit for it. And now this is a group of motherfuckers who are weirdos, like compared to the paradigm of hip hop back then in the early 2010s, it was very like you're either a thug or you're not rapping.
You know who y'all were? Y'all were the modern day underground version of Outkast.
Hell yeah. I appreciate you. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, Future is a part of the Dungeon family.
Exactly.
And that's why they called them Future, because they were like, yeah, this shit is not going to take off now, but in a few years, you're the future of music.
See, I knew he had a part with the Dungeon family. I didn't know
anything
about
his name. They gave him that name. Yep.
Wow.
Very interesting.
Y'all really do, like, that's, y'all reminded, or like, when I was fucking listening to it and waiting for songs to come out, like, Ignore, definitely favorite
Hell yeah, man.
song.
Hell yeah, man.
It's like, I saw that, I'm like, bruh, the South has got something to say. Like, that's how
Thanks for saying that, man. I feel like before Awful Records, there was no underground rap scene in Atlanta. It was all just mainstream rap. And there was an underground scene, but they were just all trying to sound like the mainstream, They were just working their way to get to the mainstream. But Awful Records, we were a bunch of weirdo. Like, I can't stress this enough, like what we were doing back then, no one liked. I was booed off stage my first show as Slug Christ. I got through literally not even one song. And the club owner came up to me, they cut my music off, and they were like, yo, you have to. And talk about the most embarrassed I had ever felt. All my friends were there. This was my first show as doing this new project. Dude, I'm so glad I didn't just fucking quit right then, because it was that type of feeling. I couldn't, The thing is, though, is that I did this for 10 plus years before anyone gave a fuck. And I will guarantee you, after everyone stops giving a fuck, I'll still be making music. And it's not because I want to be famous or I want to make money. It's just what I do, and whether I was making money or not right now, I'd still be making music. And I've always, we as artists, Alpha Records has like they have a lot of integrity, like we don't compromise our vision. We don't settle for something a little bit more palpable. It's always, you're always going to get that abstract offset thing from a lot of us. And me, myself, I feel like I'm probably one of the more weirder people in Awful Records.
Yes.
And
probably top 3.
I wear that with a badge of honor, man. I'm the weirdest motherfucker. I love it.
Me up there, yeah.
I love it because all my favorite bands were the weirdest motherfucker. And that's just always what I've been into, and it's always what I gravitated to. So it makes the most sense that that's the type of music that I'm gonna make, is some weird shit,
And that was my first response a few years ago. I can't remember what album it was, but Nate had been listening to you for maybe a year or two, so it's probably 2016, no, it's 2016 because I was still in Georgia. I was just like, this is not bad, but it's just too fucking weird for me to understand what I'm listening to.
Yeah,
There's
for
an
sure.
album where you had like the very effective vocals and like the deep voice, and it's just like, I don't get
it. Yeah.
Suicide or some shit. What was that album?
That was Go Dice.
Go Dice,
so,
yeah.
That was my first album that I rapped ever, and I was so like, remember, I never saw myself as a rapper. I just started doing this because I was tired of fuckers ruining my beats, right? So I had no confidence in myself. A lot of people tell me like, oh, I love Code Eyes, and I'm like, I think they just do it because it's the first one and they feel like, it's some sort of foundational album or whatever. But I hate that album. That's probably my least favorite album. I have not listened to it probably since a year after I made it, because
mine too, honestly. That's my least favorite.
I didn't know what I was doing back then.
I still like it, but it's my least favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't know what Slug Christ was at that moment, and I pitched down all my vocals because I was so what's the word, like I just had no confidence in my voice. And I kind of like, I have like a singular sounding voice for hip hop especially, and like instead of leaning into that and having it playing to my strengths and like just being myself, I felt like I had to cover it up and like make it better and make that's why I pitched everything down, because I just had no confidence. And then but the next tape, which was Genocide, sketchiest mixtape, that's when I started figuring out like what Slug Christ was and what I wanted to do, what I wanted to explore. And it's where I became more confident in my ability as a rapper.
And I love your journey that you just described across a few stories. Sorry, Nate, but talking about being booed off stage in front of your friends and having a very embarrassing moment to making your first album, not having the confidence to have your voice heard, so you change your voice.
Right.
Now being where you're at with PM3, and it's just like I'm ready to go back and listen to the stuff in between.
Yeah.
Because it's just fucking amazing music that's in your face, and it's like, this is who I am. This is what I'm into. Right. You can either jump on the train or you can just wave goodbye as we pass you.
For sure, man. I like that. I like what you just said there. Because people have the most visceral reactions to my shit. They'll hop on my Instagram and the vitriolic shit that they say to me, it's like, dude, you would think I raped your fucking grandma or something, the way these fuckers talk to me. It's like, look, I am not making you hop on the train, you can watch it go by.
Yeah.
But why do you feel the need to come up and tell me about it? It's just, I don't know. I'll never get the hater. I'll never understand the mindset of the hater. I remember there's this really good Lil Wayne documentary. I think it's just called The Parter 3.
I've seen it, yeah.
It's The Parter. It's called The Parter, I think. Yeah, and he says haters are confused fans.
Yeah.
These motherfuckers watch you. There's people that follow me. Like, I don't know about it anymore, but I've seen people like talk shit about me in my comments. Then I'll go to their page and they'll be following me. And it's like, if you hate me this much, why are you interested in seeing what I'm doing? And it's literally like it's like a fascination with it. They're just confused, and you're putting that much effort into the hating. You really are a confused fan, you watch the train go by instead of hopping on the train and being mad about it.
Look,
what the fuck is that?
They didn't watch it go by, man. They fucking bought the ticket just so they could yell at the conductor.
Just so, yeah, they could hate on you on the whole train ride. It's so crazy.
My God.
That's very interesting. I like that.
Yeah. Crazy.
God, man, I had questions written down, but I haven't gotten to one question yet. I don't even know what questions I have. Oh, here's one. I just read it. So is this Plant Mentality? Is it a trilogy, or are we gonna get some more?
Well, I really don't know. It's a trilogy right now. I think I'll keep doing Plant Mentalities though. It's kind of like my signature mixtape series.
It's like the Carter. Yeah.
Yeah, Carter 1, 2, 3. Then Gucci Mane has like a few of them, and same with Flocka, or like Back from the Dead for Chief Keef. It's kind of like my thing, and yeah, it's a trilogy now, but I'm sure there's gonna be a Plant Mentality 4, 5, 6.
Okay. So I hate fucking going into an album with expectations. So I try to limit that as much as possible. But sometimes, like, if it's an artist I really fuck with, I can't do it. So going into Plant Mentality 3, like the build up to it, you promoting on Instagram and shit, I'm just like, fuck. Like, he's had 2 or 3 projects in between. I ain't gonna say in between, but he's had his last 2 or 3 projects have been like ambient and more singing, and I fucking love it. But I was like, Plant Mentality 3, he's gonna go back to the ignorant shit.
Oh, you called it, man. You really called it.
But is he gonna be able to do it? Is he gonna because he's been stuck in this world? Is he gonna?
Now you know. You already know,
bruh.
It's like riding a bike, man. You hop on and you're like, "Ooh, I'm good at this."
The first 2 songs, I said, okay, all right, we're in here. This is because the intro song is, it still has an ambient vibe to it.
That song was made specifically to be an intro for Plant Mentality 3. I wanted to do that. Got that strong hip hop beat beginning, and then it just goes into pure craziness, and I thought it would be a good. That's like just I wanted to do something that was quick, around 2 minutes. I tried to do it less than 2 minutes. I couldn't quite shove it all in there, so it's like 2:05, I think, or something like that. And I just wanted to have something like quick, to the point, showed you what the fuck you're about to get into, showed you what the fuck you weren't about to get into, and it was just like an intro, I guess.
Look, man, here's like I look forward to every Friday nights at 12 because the new album's coming out. But sometimes if a new album comes out, I'm gonna put it on my phone. But if it's like something like I fucks with Billie Eilish, Young Thug, Lil Wayne, if it's a new album from someone I really fucks with, I'm putting my headphones on, turning my lights off. And honestly, it was like you fucking, let's go through like the Slug Christ universe, or let's go through the Slug Christ adventure park. It's like you get to the intro and it's like, hey, welcome. But then you fucking open the door and it's like, okay, now you can come in.
Yeah.
And you just you go through this whole trip, man. It's so good, like how you layer the songs. And
that's, and that's a lost art form, is making albums. Like, an album is supposed to feel like a trip, like a journey, but most of these motherfuckers, it's just a collection of songs. It's a glorified mixtape. But what you were saying about, so my last few albums were kind of experimental and less rap focused, I was so burnt out on making hip hop beats, man. I was so burnt out on it that it was just like, okay, here go the hi-hats. Here goes the snare on the 3. Here comes the kick. it was like mind numbing to me at that point. So I made that album Deep in Learning with Nadarb, and I made the one with Fox Wedding and the one with Fish Snark, which are kind of hip hoppy, but a lot more sing song.
Right.
And then I wrote and illustrated that book, which is pretty much what I did over the pandemic. So it probably took me around 2 years, but I took a pretty good break from music. I dropped stuff, but I just took a break, And when I came back for Plant Mentality 3 after making the weirdo ambient music and writing and illustrating a book, and I came back with that lust for the ignorant shit again. And I just came back in it, and like it felt good to want to rap again,
It was like
and
brand new to you again.
Yeah, and it's just that's how being an artist goes, like when you're gonna burnout is unavoidable no matter how much you love it. If you're doing your hobby as your career, you're gonna get burnt out. Like there's a reason you love it, but when you're forced to do it for money, it definitely becomes a whole different thing, and you start looking at it differently. And now for a while I had to do features to make rent, and I just had to do features and I had to sell beats. But now I'm at the point where I don't really need to. So I don't sell features anymore. On Plant Mentality 2, I have this bar that's like I feel like a prostitute selling myself and my art for this money. And I mean every bit of that, like when I sell a feature, it's so hard to make myself do it, right? And then when I finally sit down and do it, it takes me like 10 minutes, to do this whole verse, like just finish it up, right? And it's so hard to put effort into it because it's not yours. You're not doing it out of the heart and the love for it. You're doing it because you need to make money, And the worst fucking part about it is when I send it to the kid who paid for it, he goes, "Dude, this is so fucking awesome. You are so awesome, man. Wow, I wish I was this good." And it literally took zero fucking effort. I didn't want to do it. I put it off for 2 months, and it took me 10 minutes to record everything, all the ad libs, the backups, send it to him. And it's like, why would I even try? And there's no, you can't get fulfilled from that,
No,
and
I feel you.
It's one thing to say, well, you should just, put your soul into it every time. And I wish I could. I really wish I could, but sometimes it feels like, the I can't do anything unless I'm inspired to do it. It feels like, and I think that's just an artist type of thing. And I don't know, man. Every time money is involved, it just gets that much harder. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're hungry, at the very beginning when I was selling verses, that was the first time anyone ever wanted to buy a verse for me. So I would just go super hard and as best as I could because I still had something to prove, and I'm not saying I don't have anything to prove anymore, but for myself, I don't gotta prove anything to myself anymore. So I'm trying a lot less harder to show everyone. I'm less pushy about it, if that makes sense. Like I still want to show the listener that I'm super focused. This is what I do. I love it, and like this is the best that I can muster. But I'm not out there trying to force feed it down people's throats. I'm not trying to make fans no more. I think I'm just too old for that shit, I just turned 30. So it's like
we're the same age pretty much. I'm 31.
Yeah, so then man, like
100%.
Can't be going, but it's just a part of getting older. You just chill out, and
who am I trying to impress?
Right, with awful records, you don't see us together a lot anymore. And it's not like, because at one point we all most of us lived together in the same
sure that
house.
was a party.
It was the funnest time of my life as well as the worst. It was the worst, bro.
All right,
because
Well, let me say this real quick.
Yeah.
Bobby, if you ever want to chime in, I'm just fangirling over here. So but
No, man,
if you ever want to chime
I'm
in,
loving the vibe, and I have a question waiting, but it hasn't
you can go ahead and
it
ask it,
hasn't made
'cause
sense yet.
if I get back to mine, cool.
Cool,
But
fuck
yeah.
it. So one thing that I'm really interested in hearing why you chose to do it, because I have my own feelings about it and I love it. Why do you make cassettes of your music?
Oh, well, honestly, the cassettes are kind of just the new vinyl, honestly. You know, it's a huge novelty thing. I make all my own album artwork, and I do the layouts and try to do everything. And so I really like working on the physical product, you know.
Yep.
And it's just another way to have a physical manifestation of that piece of artwork, which is so rare to have physicals now. And it's just cool that kids buy them because everyone can listen to it for free on the internet. You know, I put it on SoundCloud, it's on YouTube. You can listen to all my shit for free. It's Spotify, all that shit. But when they buy it, it's purely because they want to support you. And I just love the idea of that. Like they want something to, you're not probably not gonna listen to that cassette, but you are gonna hang it on your wall, put it on your shelf, whatever. It's just cool. It's kind of like another t-shirt type thing, you know.
Right.
But what'd you think? What do you think I did it for?
Like the reason I love it is one thing me and Nate miss about our childhood is unskippable media when it comes to consuming music. Like you were saying earlier, like a lot of albums are like just collections of songs versus a journey.
Right.
And it's like once you put this cassette in, you have to fucking wait to get to the end of the album. Like you don't just skip to Vices. Like you gotta go through the whole journey to get there.
Exactly.
I love shit like that.
That's really interesting. I've never thought about that, but you know what? Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, that's a great way. It's just that's really cool because I mean, I see kids who buy tape players to listen to shit because artists are putting tapes out now, you know. And I think by the time I was in middle school, iPods were out. So like I really my kind of fooling around with collecting CDs was super short. And if I ever did buy a CD, it was like from a band in high school that I really liked, and I just wanted to have it. You know, it's the exact same reason these kids do it now.
Yeah.
And but you know, man, the reason why they're skipping through all those songs is because the artist that really doesn't put any effort into the flow of the tracks, you know, and it's a whole art form in itself. Like back in the day, they would have a producer would do that for you because that was that motherfucker's job, and he was good at it, you know, at putting together a complete package that might have been 15 different songs, but it was all a big complete package, and
it takes you through a journey.
Yeah, I've heard some artists have like 10 or 20 permutations of the order of songs just to see how it feels.
For sure. I do that too, you know. I really don't think about the order as I'm making the album, but as I'm nearing the end, I'll start to think about stuff like the intro, Horribly Wrong was the last song I made for PM3. So,
but it's an intro.
Right. And
that's cool
I had made a huge collection of songs, and then I was like, all right, now I need to introduce people to this vibe that I'm gonna go on, you know.
And it was perfect.
And so I think that's why it works well, is because I did that backwards, you know, looking at the whole piece, and then because Plant Mentality 3, you know, there's crazy genre change ups like acoustic country songs, forward to the floor trance, techno, bangers,
punk shit,
punk lo-fi punk shit. There's the melodic rap, there's the atonal trappy rap, there's shit like the second part of Hitmonlee, I've forgotten how it feels. I don't even know what you'd really call that genre, you know, but it's something, it's whatever it is, you know. And so those sound like a lot of disparate elements, you know, like they don't fit together. But I think because I'm the one who's producing all these different genres, as well as the one who's doing the vocals over all of them, there's a personality to the whole of the music. 100%. And
I've always said that anyone that is a producer and a rapper, I ain't talking about like someone like Diddy, but like someone that actually does their shit
Right.
and they like Hobson, like
Right.
they fucking the reason you'll be at a party and if you're playing Hobson, you don't want to play Hobson at a party anyways, but
Right.
if you're fucking with a group of people and you're playing Hobson and they go, dude, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
It's because he knew it, like he laid the foundation. He knows every fucking cymbal hit. He knows every fucking thing that's in the beat, and he's able to rap over it. And I felt the same way with you. Like,
actually,
I mean,
I just want to have like 100% control of my vision, So I work with my friends, like I work a lot with producers, and I'll let them produce the whole album, and I'll just be the rapper. But my favorite projects are the ones where I'm doing everything because no one can tell me no, and I can do it however the fuck I want. That was like the biggest thing when I went from being in bands when my band broke up to doing just solo music. Is like I don't have to compromise for anyone.
Exactly.
There's something cool about that compromise though with a band, and playing with a group of people. There's something very spiritual about it, and
someone
that compromise. That compromise, there's beauty in there, but it's so nice just to have 100% control, and be like, I'm gonna make a techno 4 to the floor song and put it right next to a country acoustic song if I want to. Fuck you,
I love that you do visual art too, because it has a very similar vibe. It's not like you're sending it out and having another artist interpret the vibe you're going for, but you can say, hey, from my heart, this is what this album means. I'm gonna put it on this medium.
Yeah, like that was another thing with the album art. I tried to I knew exactly what I wanted. Really, I knew I wanted to be in black and white, and I wanted the background to be in color. Didn't really know truly what it was going to look like, but got my girlfriend to take a picture of me holding a rose like that, drew it, did the background, and it just came together so nicely.
That's
and
crazy.
It's got a lot of personality and character to it versus if I had someone else do it on the computer versus me painting it. You feel me? It's just a whole different thing, and I just love the vibe. And album art is taken for granted as fuck these days. Like
big time.
We don't get it anymore.
Drake's album art and Kanye's, the pregnant emojis.
Well, I like Kanye's. Kanye's is
have you seen Spinal Tap?
No.
It's a movie about a 70s metal rock band.
Turn it to 11.
Yeah, exactly. That's where that comes from. That's that joke. So they had a printing malfunction at the album plant in the movie, and their album comes out as just pure black, right? And it's played for laughs, and they're like, oh, I think it's actually kind of cool because how much more black can this album be? And it's none more black. And it's a fucking joke. And then Kanye comes like 50 years later and is like, no, it's it is black, and it's like my heart, my soul, and
look,
it's just so funny, full circle. Jokes become reality at some point.
Something new
crazy.
Every day. Yeah, man. I've literally bought an album in Hot Topic as a teenager just because of the album artwork.
The art.
Had no clue who the band was.
Me too.
Ended up
Me
being
too.
Vanna, a good band, but I had no clue who it was.
I found one of my favorite bands ever, The Fall of Troy, by doing that. I saw their album art. I actually saw the commercial for it, and then I saw the album art, and I went to the store and bought it. And so kind of like I wasn't walking through, but it was all off the strength of that album art. I was like, that looks so badass. There's no way this isn't going to be dope, So they're one of my favorite bands.
And let's go with that. So Plant Mentality 1 and 2. It's very understandably DIY. You just like put pictures together and shit. But then Plant Mentality 3, you just explained it. But something I think it was on Plant Mentality 1, you had a picture of you. It was a mugshot, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What were you in jail for that instance?
Violation of probation.
Damn.
I was on probation because I got a DUI. Kind of a fun story. When I first started doing hardcore drugs, like the equivalent to heroin in pill form, which is this pill called Opana. It's oxymorphone. It's a very powerful opioid. You can't get it anymore. The pills, you can't crush the pills anymore. It's like they're made out of like plastic or something. You can't crush them and snort them. But anyway, back then I would do those. I did a fuck ton of them, way more than I had any business doing. I took enough to OD, you know, and decided to drive my fucking car back to my house. Like I made it maybe a mile, dude, and I veered off the edge of the road, crashed into a road sign. Had I veered off that road like 100 more feet, I would have gone off a literal fucking ravine, like into the. I would have died for sure. And after that, I went to rehab. This was when I was 20 years old, so this was 10 years ago. And I went to rehab, and was on probation. Could not smoke pot for a while, and went to jail for it. And I was there for a month. I was there for 30 days in county jail in Cherokee County. Shout out Cherokee County jail.
Shout out to Cherokee County. I hope y'all fucking took good care of Mr. Slug Christ here.
They didn't, but it
fuck
was
y'all.
Yeah, fuck y'all.
I made fame for Cherokee County for myself back in the 10th grade, where I came in second place for a weightlifting competition.
Oh shit!
What high school did you go to?
I went to Flowery Branch High School.
Word.
I need a beer.
But yeah, man, Jasper, Georgia, you were what, good 45 minutes from us.
Well, that's where my dad lives. He lives in Jasper now, but my childhood home is in Cherokee County, and it's in Hickory Flat. Have you ever heard of that?
I don't know Hickory Flats.
Yeah,
Cherokee
it's a
County.
super tiny ass town. It's closer to Woods. It's between Woodstock and like it's in Alpharetta. It's kind of around that area.
Gotcha.
But it's closest to Woodstock. Like my hometown, like my address was Woodstock, Georgia, but the little town that we were in was Hickory Flat.
Gotcha.
I went to Sequoia High School. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, that's the high school we were at in the gym for the
oh, cool. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's crazy.
Small world.
Fucking A, yeah, that's super crazy.
And when did you move out to LA?
2018. My girlfriend is from Los Angeles, and she moved to Atlanta with me, and we lived there for about 3 years. And she just hated Atlanta for whatever reason. It's a completely different world from LA. I'll give her that. But so I moved out here for her, and I'm so sick of LA now. I'll come out and say it. I just hate living here, but it's a fun place to visit. I have so many friends here, and there's money to be made in the entertainment field, but I just hate being here. I feel like Los Angeles is kind of like the epitome of everything wrong with urban living, only like pushed to the extreme. Like there's so much inequality, like class based. The homeless are camping outside of fucking mansions and shit like that.
God, that's
and
that's fucked.
It's a lot of smoke and mirrors. Everyone is an actor, even though they're definitely an Uber driver. And what I'm saying? Like, it's like, oh yeah, I do music and model, but you're driving me in an Uber. It sounds like you're an Uber driver.
Exactly.
There's a lot of that. Everyone has a deal with Universal Records or some absolute bullshit. It's so stupid.
Tomorrow they're gonna be on No Jumper.
Yeah, and they're living on you meet them on someone's couch, and
exactly.
They're like, yeah, I have a deal with Universal Record.
Yeah, when I was a teenager, that was always my go-to place. I'm like, I gotta make it to California. That's where I want to live. But I mean, I don't really like social media, but thank God I grew up when I did in the social media age. So it's like I can hear podcasts, I can watch people from there, I can watch people that move there and hear their stories. I'm like, okay, I still haven't been to Cali. I definitely want to visit, but I don't want to live there.
Music now is a lot more open, like pre-internet, it was all very region based, like South did this, the North did that, the West Coast did this. But now it's like, thanks to the internet, there's kind of been a homogenization of all these different kind of regional styles. Like when ASAP Rocky came out, he sounded like Southern as fuck.
Does not sound
But
like he's from New York.
He's a New York ass motherfucker, you know.
Yeah.
So, but you know, that's the advent of the internet, and that's the you know, it might be positive in some aspects, it might be negative in others, but it's just changing, and you gotta adapt or you'll die.
I think that's what California is lacking. And I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but because I'm fucking in Georgia, from Georgia, but you're in Cali. But I feel like from our perspective, what Cali is lacking is they're still trying to do that West Coast shit. And the West Coast shit ain't catching on. Like, you got people like Draco the Roller and shit that's doing new school West Coast, but I just feel like the West Coast beats and the flows from like the Bay and shit, it's like, bruh, it's played out.
No, yeah, there's nothing cool going on here. It's more like internet shit, you know. It's almost like the internet is its own region. Like they're kind of doing whatever popping on the internet, if that makes sense. And
everything sounds like it's from Atlanta.
Exactly.
Auto-tune
And
with the melodies.
I mean, before kind of before, I guess, the late 2000s, when everyone started coming from Atlanta, there hadn't been that much shit come out from Atlanta, you know. And I was really excited when like Gucci Mane popped off,
right?
Flocka popped off. Like Gucci Mane was a hometown hero for years and years and years and years before he ever blew up, you know. Like I knew Gucci Mane. The first time I heard about Gucci Mane was like 2007 when he got charged for that murder case, and I saw him on Atlanta news. Yeah, I was like in early high school, or I guess a sophomore or freshman or something, and it was so. I was like, wow, this guy looks crazy. His name's Gucci Mane. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
So we knew, like Atlanta knew who Gucci Mane was for a while. Also, Soulja Boy. When Soulja Boy blew up, it was less like I was proud, and I was like, I can't believe this motherfucker actually did it. Because when I was in high school, dude, me and all my friends before Frank that blew the fuck up.
Yeah.
Me and all my friends loved Soulja Boy because he was fucking hilarious. We would play "Ya Bitch Ya," and that was like an Atlanta thing because he was from Atlanta. By that, I think he was living there at that point, so he was like kind of a local celeb. Yeah.
Right.
Did you ever see that thing when Soulja Boy was like, they're like, so how did you become a famous rapper? And he's like, moved to Atlanta with my dad. Had the computer with the best internet on it. I'm a celebrity.
Fucking got on Fruity Loops like on his dad's computer.
Yeah, it's just like all he needed was the fast internet.
Probably like fucking Bell South or some shit.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
before it was AT&T.
But yeah, me and my friends loved Soulja Boy because he was so fucking funny, and like it was even so much more funnier when he fucking became like and got on the radio. We were like, what the fuck?
He made it.
Yeah, it was so
this
crazy.
Motherfucker made it. Yeah, man. I don't damn, what's crazy is like I don't know that era. I don't know if it'll ever be recreated anytime soon. But Atlanta's constantly recreating itself. But
for sure.
A question I wanted to get into. So let's get a little bit spicy.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna be a fan, and I'm gonna ask you a question as a fan. So from my perspective, looking at Awful Records, you have Makonnen that fucking gets a Drake feature, blows up. Everyone knows him. They don't know he's from Awful Records, but instead of him blowing up and fucking going off and doing other industry shit, he's still fucking with people like Lil Peep. He's still fucking with, you know, Father and shit.
But
then
when Makonnen, when Makonnen popped off, that's what led to Awful popping off, you know, was Makonnen's on He Pops Off, then Makonnen's on Wrist, that popped off, and Fat popped off.
Wrist is so good. Off, so. Wrist, the
it's a great song.
And the video.
Yeah, it's very punk rock, you know, just one take, like, no cuts, let's just fucking do it, bada bing, bada boom.
Exactly. But you also got someone like Playboi Carti, who I feel like was in Awful. He's doing this shit. but then he got the platform and he took
Yep.
off and he never looked back. Am I right in my assumptions with McKinnon and also Carti?
Yeah, you're 100% right, dude. But here's the thing. Carti was like 16 when he came to Awful. Let me tell you this.
Okay.
Carti was hanging out with us because we were like, dude, Carti is fucking a good rapper. When me and Archibald Slim, Archie, and Ethereal, we kind of took them under our wing. Carti's dad drove Carti to Archie's house, dropped him off, and was like, look, man, I don't know what to do with this kid. You're gonna have to figure something out. His dad left him at Archie's house. Yeah.
Damn.
So we fucking raised this motherfucker.
Wow.
Pretty much, like as a collective, we raised him. And like, I mean, it's not that serious, but like that really fucking happened. And the thing about Carti is we knew who this motherfucker was off the rip. We knew he wanted to be famous. We knew he wanted to be rich. And he was going to do anything to get there,
Right.
And so, yeah, you're right. You're 100% right in the way things played out. But I really can't be mad about it because
there's
we
a
all saw
backstory
it
behind it.
We saw it coming a million miles away too. And would I like to still work with Carti? Yeah, I love him. I think that the shit he made with Awful is 1,000 times better than everything post Awful.
Yeah.
And because we were taking that Carti style and putting it over these weird ass weirdo beats, and there was something cool about that duality, and yeah, that's how it is, And
oh yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't be mad. That's just who he is. And yeah.
I'm glad my assumptions were right, but I'm also glad that, you actually took time to talk about the backstory of he was a fucking
I was
kid
mad.
When he came in here.
Yeah, he was 15, 16.
But what were you saying? You were mad at first?
Yeah, I was super mad at first. I didn't talk to Carti for a while. And I felt like he abandoned us, and probably all the things you would assume I felt.
Yeah.
I totally did feel like that, even though I saw it coming, and we were all kind of pissed. But like I said, me growing up a little bit, and just looking back on it, you can't be mad at him. He was an ignorant motherfucker who wanted the racks, he wanted the bitches, he wanted the fame, he wanted attention,
got it.
He got
fucking got it.
And
I hope he's happy.
His fucking dream. I'm glad that I played it, that I'm in a little chapter of his journey. That's cool, and I'm thankful for that. And would I like it to still like be in touch and be hanging out with him? Yeah, sure, for sure, I would love that. But it is what it is, and you can't be mad about your fate and your destiny and how life plays out, or you're just a hater.
Honestly, I like the new Carti. But I'll say probably my favorite Carti verse is where he was on there with Maxo Cream, and I can't remember the Hispanic. I think it was Hispanic, but fuck, what is it?
I don't remember. I know
something about I Got Plenty. Yeah, like yeah, but yeah, hell yeah, man, shit. I have a phone full of questions. Bobby, you got anything?
Let's rapid fire the questions. I'll do short answers.
I'm that motherfucker that likes going real deep on the last question, and that's where I wanted to take it.
Okay. You ask one question, and I'm gonna ask one, and then we're gonna sign off because I feel like we got like maybe 30 minutes. But...
Yeah, maybe 20 to 30 minutes ish.
Okay,
yeah.
So one question I want to hear you riff on a little bit, if you're comfortable speaking about it, is kind of like life right before sobriety.
Yeah.
Life right after sobriety, and then your spiritual existence that you exist in right now.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, for sure. I mean, so right before I decided to get sober, I was telling myself that I was going to get sober. That's the thing with an addict, is it's always tomorrow. It's always, I'm going to party tonight. Don't worry about it tomorrow. But my girlfriend really was the one that just pushed me into it. She's like, look, I can't be with you. I can't marry you. We've been together for 6 years, and I'm going to marry her. We're going to have kids, blah, blah, blah. She's probably how it's going to be. So she's like, I can't do this if for doing fentanyl every day. And I was at the point where I wasn't getting high off fentanyl, dude. Like it was just taking away my withdrawals. And fentanyl has a really short half-life, the molecule of it or whatever. Like you'll have to, like with heroin, you can do it once a day. With fentanyl, you'll withdraw 3 times a day. So I would have to snort a little bit every couple of hours just to be at baseline.
Normal.
And I had such a fucked up, crazy tolerance from doing fentanyl constantly that I couldn't do heroin. Heroin wouldn't even take away my withdrawals. So I'm only snorting fentanyl, spending $140 on a G of it every 2 days. Every other day, I'd buy a G of it. It's like draining myself dry monetarily. It wasn't doing anything besides perpetuating my chemical dependency. And I felt shitty about myself. I remember one time I just was in my apartment here, and I passed the mirror, caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror, and bursted into tears. And it was like such a instinctual reaction. I didn't even understand why I was crying, but I kind of felt like it was just like, what have you become? You know, like you're a fucking slave to this chemical. It does nothing for you besides ruin your life, you know? And so I tried to go to basically a place where I could sweat it out. They give you a bed. And I lasted 3 days, went straight from this place to my dealer's house, went straight there. I was like an hour away, took an hour ride Uber, $120 or something, just to go straight to the dope man. And so I wasn't going to be able to do it by myself. That's what I learned. So I've been on methadone. So I don't like to say I'm sober because, I mean, I still do drugs. I just don't do Xanax. I don't do opioids because those are my demons. You know, I understand what my demons are. And smoking pot helps me stay away from that. But methadone has helped me so much. And, you know, what methadone does is it's a replacement for heroin or fentanyl, an opioid. It doesn't get you high at all, but it takes your withdrawals away. So, you know, I'm still technically addicted to something, but here's the thing. The government pays for it. I go there once every 2 weeks, so twice a month to pick up 2 weeks worth of methadone. I used to have to go every day. Every day I'd go in. And after 2 years of it, you know, they give every some odd amount of time, they give you a few take homes. So now I have 2 weeks worth of take homes. I'm about to go on a month, so I'll have a month's worth. And it turned this raging, banshee demon inside of me that's like, give me heroin, give me heroin. Instead of the screaming demon, it's now just a tiny little whisper. It's still there. It will always be there, but it's so much easier to maintain and control, you know?
So yeah, so what you're saying is you're not like going through withdrawals, it's keeping the withdrawals off, but you're not getting high.
Yeah, exactly. You can try to get high off it all you want, take as much as you want. It's like a scientifically designed opioid, can have no euphoria to it.
Right.
Somewhat of a pain reliever because it's an opioid. And most of the people who are on methadone are on it because they had some prescription to some opioid because of some chronic pain. So it works as a pain reliever, but the big thing is it keeps you off of heroin.
Yeah, I don't remember the writer, but he says something like doing heroin is like getting a big hug from God. And it's like a popular
There's
quote,
nothing
you know?
better. Yeah, there's nothing better. It makes you love yourself. It makes you feel like everything's okay. It's a big, fuzzy, warm feeling. If you shoot it up, that's a whole nother high within itself because that rush of it hitting your veins goes straight into your blood. That rush, whoosh, that's what gets you addicted, you know? And that's why it's so dangerous. And literally, there's nothing better. I cannot like stress that enough. The opioid is like, it numbs you. It's a painkiller, both physically and emotionally. You will not be sad on heroin. I guarantee it, that
But
shit hits your brain and it's awesome.
But with Vices, what I like about Vices is it's you're not glorifying it. It's more of like, it's more like, okay, let's say it's not about fentanyl. Let's say it's about a bitch. And you're like, man, you were so sweet to me at first. You loved me, but now you've ruined so much shit. You're evil.
Killed my friends.
You fucking killed people. You've killed people I love. Why am I still fucking with you? But I still come back to you,
Yeah.
So it's
like I say in that song, I think about doing fentanyl every day. And I hope, that goes away one day. But like without methadone, I would just I would have to go get dope because I'd be in such pain from the withdrawals. It's just
shit.
People don't understand. They're just like, just quit doing heroin. What's the big deal? And it's like it's a lot like having the flu. Your nose is runny. You can't breathe through your nose. Your eyes are watery. Everything hurts. Literally, everything hurts. You're nauseous. You can't eat. You can't sleep. I didn't sleep for 2 days one time because I couldn't get dope. It's nothing but pain, at first it's really awesome and really fun. And if you don't die, then it can be great at first.
That's what's beautiful about Vices, because that's what it sounds like. It sounds like you're basically saying, this is so beautiful, thank you. And then you're like, wait a minute, this isn't fun anymore. Now I'm just doing it to be normal. Fuck you. That's what I get from Vices.
I feel like even on heroin, I mean, I don't glorify it there either. I feel like
my favorite, I'm sorry to cut you off, but my favorite thing in that song is you're like, I don't fucking share it with my friends. I do it by myself in the motherfucking bathroom.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was so careful with that song, because I told Perp Dog, I was in the process of making that album, and I was like, yo, make a beat for me for this song idea called Heron. And like, I just told him that, and he sent me that. And I knew what I was doing was, it could be a really bad thing. I feel like I was sitting there before I had even made it. I was like, what if this song blows the fuck up even bigger than, what it did? And I inspires all these little kids to do heroin. So people will tell me otherwise. And, that chorus is very celebratory just in its nature. It's just like heron. It is very celebratory, but that's where I was when I made that song. And I still feel like, in my opinion, I tried to walk that line of being like, look, this is where I'm at and I'm in love with it, but I'm killing myself and I'm either going to get off it or I'm going to die, and I tried to say that,
it's like how you said down, I don't remember what you said, but it's like how everything, the reason I started fucking with you is like, oh, he's authentic, like if I listen to Lil Wayne, I'm like, I love Lil Wayne, but the reason I love Lil Wayne is because of his bars, his cadences, his flows, and his fucking metaphors. His metaphors are fucking stupid,
and it's all off the top.
But when you listen to him, it's like, bruh, especially when he was hot, how many people are in the hood fucking going to do a drive-by killing, smoking a blunt, and like listening to Lil Wayne, getting them pumped up to go do this?
Yeah.
But it's like he was pushing that narrative, but I feel like the narrative.
Or Chief Keef and the drilling in Chicago. He inspired a whole generation of kids to become murderers,
And it's still going on.
And he didn't. Well, and that's the thing about it, is he was also a victim of that environment.
But with Chief Keef, it feels like he was rapping about his life. With Lil Wayne, it's more so like, he's just a good lyricist.
Yeah, he was in the studio. That was his whole thing. Baby came and put him in the studio to keep him off the, so he wasn't really in the streets like that.
Exactly.
He was with people that I'm sure were, and he came from that part of town,
Right.
But yeah, he was more of like a hood reporter, like
right,
something like that. And there's a little bit of smoke and mirrors there, because your average person's gonna hear those songs and just think that that's his life. Yeah,
this is exactly what he lived. All right, here's my last question to you. We ended on a serious note, and I love that, but we spoke about Under Oath earlier. So something that was everyone wants to know about Under Oath was who the fuck is on the picture of They're Only Chasing Safety with a mask and
yeah.
And finally, they revealed her a couple years ago, but oh Slug Christ, Won't You Burn in Hell Forever? Who is that? Who is
that was my roommate at the time. Her name is Tess. She at the time she was stripping, and she was my roommate, and yeah, she's just a real beautiful girl, has a very seductive voice, and yeah, I got her to record that thing. She did it like, oh, Slug Christ, may you burn in hell forever, and I was like, no, I want it to be more like, oh, you silly goose, oh, Slug Christ, may you burn in hell forever. And she killed it. I got her to do a few of them, but that's my favorite one she did. And I feel like as a beat tag, it's just so like, what the fuck? Like,
it's perfect.
Yeah, it's like Slug Christ, the name. It's doesn't fit the mold of a rapper,
Right. Well, hey, this has been another episode of Off the Beaten Path. Bobby, let these bitches know what to do.
Motherfuckers, stay black.
And please don't be wet. Thank you for coming on, Slug Christ.
Hey, thank you guys. Thanks, Bobby and Nate. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.